But I relate to what you're sharing about the fear of going there, going back there. I relate to personally, it was like that for myself. And in a sense, you have to go back there. There's no other way than through that, but it's going through something in a different way because you'll be more prepared. And so the experience will be different. It'll feel different. But at the same time it'll feel like you're going to that place. That's the horrible, scary place. But we go back more prepared. This is very well depicted in Dante's Divine Comedy. He says, midway through my life, I find myself in a dark forest. In the story, he sees a mountain and he sees light on the top. And he recognizes that's where he wants to go and needs to go. And this happens in the first 2-3 pages of a 3-book poem. And then he tries to go up the mountain straight to that light. And he meets 3 beasts. And they're just completely overwhelming and terrifying. And so he goes back down and he meets Virgil, who becomes his teacher. Virgil was a poet, a real poet, who was admired by Dante. And so he chose Virgil as the character in his story. And Virgil guides him into the realms of hell and purgatory. Through hell, through the bottom of hell, at the core, in the last level, there is a door through which he passes and ends up at the beginning of purgatory. And so I'm referring this story because that mountain and the heaven, that is actually Mount Purgatory in the beginning, but he's not ready to go up. He faces these beasts which are within himself, are his own psyche, are his own fears, his own pains. And they're too overwhelming. And so he takes the longer journey, which is into the shadow of the psyche. That's the hell and purgatory's shadow. Is to see what hasn't been seen in himself, in his own psyche. And so he starts to see all of the aspects of mind that are hellish. And as he sees through all of that, he enters purgatory, which is now coming to terms with the feelings that have been too overwhelming and meeting them, purging them. And then he is ready to go up and cross into the threshold of heaven. But if done prematurely, one is just not ready. One naturally will retreat from the beasts. But in the story, it's actually, he does have to do that journey again at the end, but he's prepared. And so in a sense, yes, it is like you have to go there again, but it's not going to be the same place. It's not going to be the same way. It'll be different because you're not who you were then. And it's important to know you're preparing yourself to go there, to go back, right? But the thing I'm trying to point out, what I was trying to point out earlier, is that when you're in the down, you're actually probably doing the better work. That's when you are close to the depth, into shadow spaces, into the realms of hell and purgatory. So a better way to judge your progress, if you will, is to notice how much more peace you can bring to the depth. How much more a sense of innate safety you can have while you are in the depth, in the dark, in the shadow, in the down. And not have the peace and the sense of safety depend on being on the up. Yeah, we interpret the down as something wrong with me, and a confirmation of that. And then we're trying to control that to avoid that. Whereas you can bring your, so the more you realize you are not that which goes down, you can bring an innate, unconditioned sense of safety, meaning it's not depending on anything. And that can be progressive in the sense that you feel less troubled, less unsafe as the wave of down comes again. And so you can be in the down, in the fear, in the pain, in the darkness, in the melancholy, whatever flavors it takes, depression. You can be there, and this could happen slowly. You start to recognize, oh, I'm okay, compared to a year ago, compared to 5 years ago, compared to yesterday. And then at some point, what can happen is that you can be in that depth, in the most difficult, and you completely see you're completely, absolutely okay, at peace, and safe. And that to me is the metaphor of, through the last circle of hell, at the bottom there's a tiny little crack in the rocks, and by going through there one exits hell, but it's through it. Once you know it all and you're familiar with it and you realize you're okay. And the same thing repeats in purgatory. As he goes up the mountain of purgatory, at the last point, there is a fire that he has to walk through. And that to me symbolizes pain, the pain of purging. And it's the fire that doesn't burn. And so what Virgil does is like, he's wearing a robe, and so Virgil grabs his robe and pushes it into the fire and then pulls it out, and then he can see that it hasn't burned. And that's how he encourages him to step through it. But it feels like burn. And then when you can feel the burn, feel the pain, feel the terror, and then walk through it, and you come out and you realize, oh, I am unharmed and I am safe. That is peace. That's actually the entrance into heaven. And then there's a whole other levels of walking through the levels of heaven. But in heaven it's different, because every being that is traversing heaven is simultaneously in the center already as it's traversing. I find a correlation in Buddhism. It's many branches of Buddhism, but they speak of nirvana, and they speak of entering the river. So there's a stage in their map that is called the stream entry. And once you enter the stream, you have tasted the water, and the ocean is the ocean of nirvana. And once you have tasted the stream, once you have entered the stream, something is at peace, because it already knows the destination. It's tasted the destination. And the stream entry is kind of granted when one recognizes an aspect of true nature, and it then becomes undeniable, obvious, and something that doesn't need to be reconfirmed. And it's related to realizing what you are is not the body-mind. And so what happens to the body, what happens to the mind, isn't the ultimate consequence to you. Yeah, it's a map. Dante's poem is a map of a journey. through stages. You could say also it's the journey of realizing what you already are. But it's like the journey of remembering your true nature, what you always have been. And often the remembering has a certain kind of progression. Even if the remembering is a glimpse and it's total, then the body-mind goes through a progression, which is some form of that journey. You could consider the glimpse, what happens in the beginning of Dante's comedy. He sees the light of heaven. And in that moment he tastes it, he knows it, but he can't, it's over there. He can't get to it. It hasn't become the permanent nature of his reality. Permanent's a word, but the true nature, the absolute nature. Yeah, you haven't settled into it. There's all kinds of beautiful metaphors there. At one point he's crossing a river in hell, and he sees this light in the horizon, and then Virgil covers him again with a robe. Cover your eyes, cover your eyes. And this light is coming, and he's completely overwhelmed. And to the point where he's terrified, and Virgil is protecting him by covering him with a robe. And it's the presence of an angel that he cannot bear to look at directly. But it's these glimpses that are really powerful. But the metaphor, if you can't see it directly, you can't be with it directly, it still overwhelms your body, your mind. And so it's a glimpse, and then there's a contraction, there's a need to protect from it. But metaphorically, what he's glimpsing is his true nature. Is the light of being, or in the more Christian map. And it's an apparent journey because at the end, it is very obviously seen you are always there. Well, you are that which you're looking for, and you're already that which you are. You can't be something other than what you are, and you are already that. And the only thing that is unknown is that that's what you're looking for, and you already are that. So two things are useful there is to first realize what you're looking for is what you are, versus money and wealth and sorry, all of that is great. Don't stop enjoying the experience of pursuing whatever passion you have in life and creating the most beautiful life you can. I'm 100% encourage that. But while you do that, do it with wisdom and acquire the wisdom, which is what you really are looking for, is what you are, and you already are that. So the first thing is that what you really are looking for is what you are, not the. It's not gonna. You're not gonna get it with more money, more relation, more of that. Don't reject or deny that. Sure, enjoy it, pursue it. But what you're really looking for is what you are. And then you already are that. So what can you do? Like, you can't do anything. No, you can. Because that's the other kind of error in teaching, when it's like, oh, there's nothing to do. You already are that. No, you are already that, but you don't realize it. You don't see it. You think you're something you're not. So that's the other part of the process is, okay, I am somewhat convinced. So often what happens is life is very challenging. We work hard to get what we want. We get what we want. We are not happy. And this, you've seen, there's a lot of movie stars now saying, like, I got everything I wanted and I was miserable. Jim Carrey has said it. There's quite a few interviews where they're saying, like, this was really powerful. I got everything I wanted and I was still miserable. And so that's a realization. It's not happening by getting that. Something that I'm looking for, that's not giving it to me. And so what I mean is, you're to some degree somewhat convinced that that's not where it is. So you come to this work. But the work can still give you the idea, well, it's all about me getting to that thing of enlightenment in the future, which is kind of like making $1 million. So it becomes kind of the same problem, because it's me changing into a thing that I idealize to be the thing that is the enlightened being. And so now I have to develop, progress, grow to become that thing. And that's another trap. And that's why the pointer is, what you're really looking for is what you are. You already are that. And then again, the second part is, okay, but why am I feel like shit? It's like, yeah, if you feel like shit, that's good, because you're not lying to yourself. You're not pretending you're fine, because you've understood that you are what you're looking for. So you're content. But if you're honest with yourself, it doesn't feel very good. Life isn't that great. That's because there is illusion. The illusion is, I think I am something that I am not. And in that case, I say, as opposed to a lot of teachers who are saying, seeking is the problem, don't seek. I say what Jesus said, seek and don't stop seeking. Don't stop seeking until you find. What to seek for is the problem. First, don't seek for, sure, go for it, but ultimately seek for the nature of now, the nature of you right now. What is this reality? What are you? Who are you? Where are you? All these. seek for that which is now, here now. And what you will find is the true nature of you, the true nature of this reality. And that cannot be found tomorrow. And it's not something you will achieve, you will develop into. It can be very enjoyable as well, the process. There was a phrase from Osho that I loved when he said, "This is about the journey home, and the further away you are, the luckier you are, because the richer will be the journey home." So enjoy it. It's like entering the stream. Enjoy the ride all the way down through all of the valleys and the mountains and the towns and all of that journey, bumpy waterfalls,